The Menu is a 2022 American comedy horror film directed by Mark Mylod, written by Seth Rice and Will Tracy. The plot of the movie revolves around a young couple, along with many other VIP guests, travels to a remote island to eat at an exclusive restaurant where the chef has prepared a lavish menu, with some shocking surprises for them. The movie begins and a couple by the names of Tyler and Margot are getting ready to board a boat for Hawthorne, a restaurant run by a well-known chef. The dining venue is situated on an exclusive island. A short while later, the boat and additional people dining come. A cuisine reviewer named Lillian and her editor, Ted, are the visitors. Other attendees include an actor named George, and his assistant and girlfriend, Felicity, as well as Dave, Soren, and Bryce, three significant investors in the software industry. Richard, a businessman, and his wife catch Margot's eye because she is trying to avoid attracting his attention. They board the boat a little while later, and Tyler is impressed by the exquisite dessert that is brought to them. The chief waitress of the restaurant, Elsa, greets and shows the visitors around the island shortly after they arrive. Elsa is shocked to find Tyler with a different date for the meal. She points out that Margot is not Tyler's original dinner companion. The island's splendor astounded the visitors. Finally, Elsa leads the visitors to the restaurant's dormitory, where she will spend the remainder of their time on the island along with the visitors. Before inviting them to join her for their first lunch, she gives them an overview of their daily schedule and mealtime. The customers follow her into the eatery. Tyler spies a cottage on the way and asks if she would mind showing them around. Elsa, however, explains to him that it is the chef's house and says that even the personnel of the restaurant is not let inside. The guests enter the restaurant shortly after, but Elsa is uneasy because the doors are closed, keeping them within. Margot is interrupted by Elsa as she notices her curiously scanning the area. She leads her to the table where she will be eating with Tyler. The visitors are instructed to observe the chefs while they prepare their meals, but Elsa forbids them from taking pictures of the food. Soon after, Tyler manages to make an impression on one of the chefs and is shocked to discover that the chef recognizes his name. Tyler is informed by the cook that every member of the crew is familiar with the names of each visitor who has been invited to the island. Tyler eventually notices Julian Slowick, the chef, looking over the food. Their meals will arrive a short while later. While the guests are enjoying their first course, Tyler sneakily snaps a photo of it. But Elsa notices him from a distance. Unaware, Tyler continues to discuss his fascination with cooks, describing them as artisans who play with the raw components of life and death. His comments make an impression on Margot. The chef then requests the serving of the next course. The first time Julian has spoken to the visitors since their arrival, he warns them that they will consume a variety of delights during their stay and advises them to savor their food rather than simply swallowing it down because their menu is so priceless. Tyler cries as a result of Julian's remarks touching him. The second meal will soon be served, and this time the chefs have created a unique dish using every foodstuff on the island. The diners savor this entree as well, and the rich pair compares the dinner to eating the ocean. Elsa moves about the table watching the visitors while they eat. When the third course is ready, the chefs serve the diners once more. This time, on Julian's orders, the cooks made them little amounts of a meal that resembled a sauce but declined to give them bread. Once more, the guests are astounded by the chef's culinary prowess, but Julian is not astounded by their enthusiastic responses. The food does not impress Margot. The businessman gently requests bread from Elsa in the interim, but she declines, upsetting the men. Tyler accidentally knocks down a wine glass to catch Julian's eye as Margot maintains she won't eat the meal. Margot challenges Julian over the quantities even though Julian is startled that she hasn't touched her dish. She refuses to consume the food despite his polite request, so Julian leaves. Tyler reprimands her for making the chef feel bad. The chef passes a seated elderly woman by herself. The chef's mother turns out to be Margot, meantime, continues to stare at the wealthy man. The chef then introduces the following dish, which is called memory. Then, he remembers the incident involving his father's drunken return to the house and argument with his mother. The situation quickly got out of hand, and Slowick's father then started strangling her with a phone wire. But just in time, a young Slowick interfered by using scissors to stab his father in the thigh. The guests find the tale to be unsettling, but they dismiss it since they believe it to be untrue. They soon receive tacos and house-smoked pork. Unexpectedly, each taco has a picture printed on it that will stir up vivid memories in visitors. The tacos of the movie star feature a photo of his biggest flop, and the tacos of the food critic have pictures of the eatery she panned. The files of the businessmen also contain information on their unauthorized bank accounts. They threaten to close the business and immediately call Elsa to demand to know how the restaurant discovered this data. Elsa, however, declines to divulge anything and departs. Anne's tacos, meanwhile, include images of Richard and an unidentified young lady. She asks him to explain, but Richard says he doesn't know anything about the pictures. The image of Tyler photographing the meal is on the tacos. He then lashes out at Margot and tells her to make amends to the cook. She is informed that he is the one making the dinner payment. She answers the chef's question about her identity as she strides irately toward the bathroom. She shouldn't be there tonight, he tells her. She then makes her way to her table. The chef introduces the visitors to his protégé, Jeremy. But Slowick starts insulting Jeremy, stating that he will never make a good cook. Jeremy suddenly commits suicide, horrifying the visitors. The chef comforts them by explaining that it is a show requirement. All but Richard return to their seats. He demands to leave, but the restaurant staff capture him and cuts his ring finger. The guests are threatened with much terrifying punishment if they ever try to leave. While everyone panics, Tyler keeps eating his meal. Later, the chef calls Margot to the kitchen and again asks her who she is because he says her presence is ruining everything. He tells her all the guests are going to die tonight. He then asks her if she wants to die with the guests or stay alive with the restaurant staff. Crying, she returns to her table. The guests ask the chef why he is doing all this. He replies he is doing all this out of desperation because he has been running the restaurant for years. The reason why the food critic has been called is that she has badly reviewed many restaurants. Richard and Anne are the regular customers of the restaurant, but they never appreciated the food. Slowick drowns an angel investor of the restaurant in front of the guests, saying he always greedily asked for more profits. Later, he again calls Margot to his office and says her relationship with Richard. Finally, she reveals her identity, saying she is an escort and her real name is Erin. She says Richard is her former employer. Slowick sympathizes with her. Later, the chef asks Tyler to reveal why he is at the restaurant. Tyler says he knew in advance that everyone is going to die, but he came there. He further says he hired Erin for his company and he booked 2 tables. But his girlfriend did not appear. This makes Erin angry and she attacks Tyler. But the staff calms her down. Later, the chef calls her to prepare the final course. Her first task is to fetch a barrel from the smokehouse. Meanwhile, the movie star asks the chef that why he is being punished. On the other hand, Erin breaks into Slowick's cottage instead of going to smokehouse. She sees a locked room and tries to open it, but Elsa appears there. After a scuffle, Erin kills Elsa accidentally. Nervous, she unlocks Slowick's room using Elsa's keys. Inside, she comes across photographs and newspaper articles written about Slowick and the numerous accolades he has received over the years. In all the pictures, he appears sad and angry except in one from his teenage days when he used to work at a fast food chain. There, he used to make burgers and he had won the Employee of the Month. Next, she notices a radio in the room and she uses it to alert the Coast Guard about everything. She then returns to the restaurant with the barrel. Slowick again sits her down and explains that he is doing all this because a chef is supposed to serve his customers. Soon, a Coast Guard arrives and Slowick warns the guest before the guard comes in. The chef cunningly tells the guard that everything is okay. However, the guard recognizes the movie star and asks for an autograph. Shrewdly, the actor writes, "Help me on the note." So he aims at the chef and threatens to shoot him. To the guest's surprise, the guard turns out to be one of Slowick's chefs. He then prepares for the final course. Meanwhile, Erin tells him that she does not like his food, saying everything he serves is an intellectual exercise rather than something to be enjoyed. She says he has also bored her and she is still hungry. The insane chef asks her what she intends to eat after this injures his ego. She then takes advantage of the situation to ask for a classic American cheeseburger and some fries. Slowick enters the kitchen in a hurry after becoming furious. While doing so, he is brought back to a happier time in his past when he was younger. The burger is eventually ready, and he gives it to Erin. She surprisingly enjoys it a lot and has started to like his cuisine. He is now happier than he has been in years because of this. She then informs him that he has given her more food than she can consume and requests permission to take the remaining burger to go. After giving it some thought, Slowick decides to divide the remaining food for her. She tips him before leaving, feeling internally comforted. She ponders whether she should leave the other visitors to perish as she leaves, but Anne nudges her to go and save herself. Slowick praises everyone for dining at his restaurant before she departs. He admits that each of them stands for the obliteration of his work and way of life. They are now able to participate in it. With the final course, The chef sets everyone, including himself, on fire wearing a traditional dress. Meanwhile, Erin gets away and she sees the flames rising from the restaurant. And here the movie concludes. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe so you can stay updated with our daily movie recaps.